Hello, Glenn. Scott from
HeyUGuys.
HeyUGuys. Lovely to meet you.
Hi.
We've got
nice to meet
blue
you.
sky for you now, which
I
is
know.
fantastic. Congratulations on the film. It is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
You've played some amazing characters in your career. What was it about this one and this particular project that spoke to you when you first read the script?
I'd never played a woman like this before, and I bore myself very easily. So I try to find something that that will represent an emotional and intellectual journey that I haven't explored before. And Joan Castleman certainly had that. And I was nervous. I had a lot of questions. The main question I had to answer was, why doesn't she leave him? Which seems to be the most obvious choice. But in getting to know her and in getting to answer that question for me, it wasn't the obvious choice anymore, and it became a very complex relationship.
When you read the script for the first time, you've played some amazing characters in your time, but what was it about this one and this relationship that kind of spoke to you in the first instance?
Well, speaking as a 71-year-old actor, it's great to read a script that's got a really good part for the older man and the older woman. It's also a very it's a tightly written script. There's no waste on it, and it was the opportunity to. I knew Glenn was going to be playing it, and I met Björn Runge. I liked him a lot, and he comes, as Glenn and I do, from a theatre background. So all the, there was no reason not to do it.
I just wanted to begin by asking when the first stages of when you got involved and what it was about the script that kind of appealed to you.
The same time when I read it the first time 4 years ago, I was directing a stage production, Death of a Salesman. So I was a little bit into that American drama about the family in an American way. So when I read the script, The Wife, I recognized myself. And for me, the key into that marriage was also very much through David, the son, played by Max Irons. So I could understand what's happening in that universe that the script showed for me. So it was easy to say yes.
People have been talking about this movie with the spoilers, usually for a big movie. I mean, you've been involved with James Bond. It's usually those kind of movies that we're talking about. But this has such a unique spoilers that you don't want to talk about it because the audience will get such a great reaction out of it. I mean, it must be great to be in a movie that's about one thing but also has so many twists and turns.
It's true, yeah, and I think it's the joy of making a film like this. It's the job of the filmmaker essentially, but to keep things hidden, and not reveal everything up front. And it's I think that the audience are going to be suspicious. There's something wrong. But it's hard for me to comment on because I know what happens.
Yes.
But it's great to watch it with an audience. I went to 2 screenings in LA for the openings in America. And what was a surprise to me was to hear the laughter that came from the women in the audience, directed at my character, and who I thought was a pretty good guy, but they obviously recognized the sleazebag amongst all of us. So, yeah.
It was a script I know that was around for a long time. You say 4 years ago. Did it take someone like Glenn to sign on to kind of get it going?
And Glenn was before me. She
Right,
was
so
the
she
one
was-
that casted me.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I went to a breakfast in New York, and because the producer said, we want you to direct this film, but now it's up to Glenn Close to say yes or no to you. So I flew over and I went to a cafe and we ate breakfast, and we're talking about the script and we're talking about theater and we're talking about life, and suddenly she went silent and she looked at me and said, I want you to direct this film. And then I went back home and we started the production.
It's quite an approval though for her to say yes.
Was, amazing.
Amazing. Let me ask you about Björn as a director. He was saying that he almost had to audition for you in some ways to get the gig.
He didn't direct me.
when you met him, what was it that was it about him and kind of the project together that made him perfect?
I like the way he talked about the process of what he does. I like the fact that he has done a lot of theater, and also has written himself, both for theater and for film, very successfully. I thought it was exciting that this would be his first English-speaking film, so it was raised the stakes for himself. I like that, but there was also something about him that I instinctively felt that he would be a good person to. I mean, it was a risk. We both were taking a risk.
Yeah. Let me ask you about working with Glenn, because she's such an amazing presence on screen, and you two have such a great chemistry. Was that an easy thing to grasp, or was that something sort of in pre-production that you sat down? And
no, you don't sit down and say, let's get your chemistry set out. We like each other and respect each other, and we've been around the block a bit, the pair of us, so we know what it's about. And there was no time wasted, and we both knew what we wanted to do with the story, and we both believed in the strength of those characters, and I think we worked really well.
One of the things I loved about the movie is that it felt very much, obviously, about marriage and about the kind of the breakdown and everything else, but it felt somewhat like a boxing match in many ways, that they're sparring with each other, and then obviously there's certain things that happen. I mean, when you read it, did you get a sense of that, or was it something else that kind of drew you in?
I got the sense of that family drama very, very strongly. But at the same time, I loved that it was staged on that Nobel Prize stage, the biggest stage. So it was a ritual world around them. At the same time that they have their crisis for life, for the most important crisis in their life, actually, because that family secrets suddenly can't be invisible anymore, and that's interesting. That was catched me very much.
We mentioned Glenn, obviously, but obviously it's a two-hander with Jonathan Pryce, who's one of our most treasured actors. I mean, seeing them together on screen when you were putting the movie together must make your job so much easier to see them, because they're so brilliant in the movie.
Yeah, and I understand that immediately, because they dared to play with each other and surprised each other and challenged each other. So they are a perfect couple.
So I just wanted to ask you very quickly about Jonathan. I mean, the two of you together,
him.
Absolutely wonderful. I mean, the chemistry on the screen is just electric. I mean, what was it like on set? I mean, because the two of you were just fantastic together.
Very organic. Yeah, we did a lot of preparation. We worked for a week around the table just talking about story, character. I get this, I don't get this, I don't believe this. Jane Anderson, the writer, was right there. So it was and then it was a matter of trust, which we have. I think it comes with the territory if you're going to do good work, and then it became very organic. Yeah.
Just finally, I wanted to ask you about Don Quixote. Obviously, it premiered at Cannes. Hopefully, we'll see it one day. What was it like being on the set of that one and seeing Terry finally bring that story to life? Because he's been trying for a long, long time.
Yeah, well, when you work with Terry, I've done it, that's 4 times now. You get the best of it as the actor, and you just know that he's suffering somewhere. But it was absolutely one of the best times I've ever had, and it 3 months in Spain and Portugal and the Canary Islands, riding and jousting, sword fencing, singing, telling jokes, wooing young ladies, because Quixote thinks he's absolutely the drop-dead gorgeous, attractive to women. And it was a great time. And this the saga goes on, endless court cases, but it's been released in France and Spain, and I think it's out somewhere else. And they're doing deals for America and the UK now, so it will be seen. It's got to be seen. It's a great, crazy film.
I really want to see it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will one day. Listen, thank you so much for your time. Absolute pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey